This video is brought to you by Skillshare, an online learning community with thousands of classes for creators. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in your own creativity. With my work taking me all over the place, it isn't always easy to establish good habits. So I just got done watching a class about how to build good habits that last by Thomas Frank. He's a YouTuber with over 2 million subscribers, while I'm going to work my way towards 200,000 first. He talks about establishing realistic goals, setting minimum thresholds that you must meet but are also welcome to exceed, and how to get back on track if you veer off course. Skillshare is curated for learning. There are no ads and new classes are launched all the time, and it's less than $10 if you get an annual subscription. Make sure to click the link below in the description to sign up. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link will get a free trial premium membership. Don't miss this chance to explore your creativity.
Banana slam jam.
Hey everybody, this video we're going to be talking about the wildcard stage for the Kiev Major. The wildcard stage is going to be starting on June 2nd, which is also my birthday, and it'll be 2 days long. It'll be broadcasted across 2 streams, and I'll be participating mainly in the first stream, but a little bit in the second stream. I will only be paneling for the wildcard stage, and the 3 teams that I'm primarily focusing on in terms of the games they gave me to panel for are Nigma, Secret, as well as IG. So I am doing a little bit of most teams, but those are the 3 teams that I have more than one series for. And in this video, I really want to talk about exactly what I expect from each team, as well as all the information you guys will need to make sure you watch it. So the way that the DPC works, in case you guys haven't been able to follow along, is that there's 3 stages to the major. There's the wildcard stage, there's a group stage, and then there is the playoffs. So the wild card is the first round that consists of every region's 3rd and 4th place teams with regions that had those. So what I mean by that is that Western Europe had 4 slots, as well as China. So their 3rd and 4th place team made it to the tournament. And Southeast Asia had a 3rd slot, and CIS/Eastern Europe had a 3rd slot, while NA and SA only had 2 slots. So you're only going to see the 3rd and 4th place teams that made it. So for the wild card stage, we have Nigma and Secret, 3rd, 4th of Europe. We have Vici Gaming and IG, 3rd, 4th of China. We have Execration, 3rd place out of Southeast Asia. AS Monaco Gambit, who's 3rd place out of Eastern Europe. So for the wild card, there are 6 teams, but only 2 of them make it out. So it's pretty cutthroat. 3rd through 6th are absolutely eliminated from the tournament, and the 2 teams that make it out will advance to the group stage to play against the 6 teams above them. And we will also be doing a video talking about the group stage once those positions are finalized, and then we'll be doing another video, at least one, maybe more, about the playoffs. So if you guys want to make sure you get a little bit of an update about the major and my thoughts on it, just keep an eye out for those videos popping up on the YouTube channel. So starting it off, right off the bat, kicking it off with who I believe will get 6th place is going to go to Gambit. So the reason why I give Gambit 6th place is because I did watch a lot of CIS, and they had a really rough start. They started 0-3. And they managed to climb their way back into the 3rd place slot, but I do believe that was largely due to Na'Vi choking. If you guys did see that Reddit thread about me hating on Na'Vi because they basically threw a pivotal series and then also lost another pivotal series, which ended up putting them in 4th to one of the teams that was in the bottom 3. That's what Na'Vi did. So I kind of think that AS Monaco Gambit got their slot handed to them. Not saying they suck, but I don't think that they demonstrated the ability to be like significantly stronger than the teams that did not make it. And I also believe that Team Spirit, as well as Virtus Pro, the teams that got 1st and 2nd from the Eastern European region, were leagues better than anyone else in the division, and it was quite noticeable. Those games were very one-sided, and so I have to believe that if they're unable to compete with the top teams of their region, that they will struggle to compete with the likes of what we're seeing in this wildcard stage. Quite a scary wildcard stage. So, Monaco Gambit, on top of all that, if that wasn't enough for you, if you see below in this little note on Wikipedia, no one in Snako decided to leave the team on May 25th, which is about a week ago, after they had already qualified for the major to go to Na'Vi in order to improve their chances at making TI through the open qualifiers, basically jumping ship. And that tells me that they don't really have faith in their team. So a lot of weight on 2 new stand-ins, and we're going to have to just wish them the best. But this is their roster: Dream in the 1 position, Lornoff in the 2, Afterlife, Immersion, and 633 respectively. And Lornoff and 633 will be their new stand-ins for Seneko and No One. So that's going to be my 6th place prediction, and now let's move on to the next team. A lot of you are probably going to not like me for this next prediction. I want to do predictions that I think have a realistic shot of happening, but also put a little spice in there. I think it'd be kind of simple to just say, hey, 6th place is the third place team from CIS who didn't look that good. The 5th place team is going to be the 3rd place team from Southeast Asia that I've never watched before. But I actually looked through Execution's resume, and I'm going to put 5th place as a team you guys probably wouldn't expect. Maybe some of you did if you did watch the Western European Division, and I'm going to go with Team Secret. I believe, based on the history of TI with Team Secret underneath Puppy, they have consistently been performing very well throughout the entire regular season. I think they are a world-class team every year that they go to TI, and something flops. They always get 4th place, 3rd place, maybe even worse. Some years they drop down like 12th. And I think a lot of it has to do with burnout. And I think based on what I watched during the Western European Division, Secret is not practicing nearly as hard or as much as they normally would be. They are 100% guaranteed to go to TI based on their first season results of getting 1st in the league and then 3rd place at the major. They're just guaranteed to make it to TI. So I watched their games during the Western European Division, and they look like the same team. Like individually, they look incredibly skilled, and they just don't look clean. I don't think I've ever seen a Secret roster ever underneath Puppy have Matumba Man get ganked, or their carry get ganked, proceed to TP in 1 by 1, and all feed. I saw that happen like several times throughout the course of the European DPC season, and I just don't think they're motivated. I think that they're trying to avoid the burnout of what happens every year. I have to imagine that Puppy questions, why have we done so well during every regular season, and then not too well at TI, or at least win the TI. He's usually got a roster that's capable of doing so. So let me be clear, I do believe Secret is going to be a force to be reckoned with at TI, but I put them in 5th place for the wildcard stage, and at the very least, I highly doubt they're going to qualify in the top 2, and it is purely based on motivation. So let's go ahead and wrap that one up. So my 4th place will be going to Execration. While I do believe 3rd through 6th is relatively interchangeable, I do believe Execration has a very reasonable chance of making it to like the 3rd, 4th slot during this wildcard stage. Their resume during the DP season was not too unimpressive. They did lose to the 2 teams from SCA that are at the major, TNC as well as T1. But they also were responsible for ousting Neon, where they were able to take the series off Neon 2-0. And Neon is the SCA team that got 5th, 6th at the first major. So they were no opponent to scoff at. And they did that behind a first-round Morphling in both games that they were able to pick 4th overall and then protect it with 3 bans. So what I see from a team like Execration is that they gave a solid run to both teams that are at the major, but from SCA, but they also seem to have some flair. I know SCA teams seem to make a splash. We saw that from Neon in the previous major, and I do believe Execration could give us a little bit of a surprise, but I don't think it's going to be good enough to make it into the top 2 to make it out of the wild card stage. But I am looking forward to see what they got, because Neon was quite the fun team to watch and a lot of individually skilled players in the Southeast Asia region. For the first major, there were the same distribution of teams, and if you look here, the 2 China teams both made it out, as well as a tiebreaker between Liquid and AS Monaco Gambit. Like I said, AS Monaco Gambit's not nearly the same team they were before, and I do believe Liquid is a pretty solid European team that we now see in 2nd place in their division this time around, so they're not even in the wild card. But I am sticking to the formula. This may seem boring to you guys, but this time around what's interesting is that there are only 2 teams that make it. The reason why 3 teams made it during the first major was that we had a few dropouts due to COVID issues and the ability to make it in. As you see here, Beast Coast and Na'Vi withdrew from the major. So that gave them an extra slot to move on up. So also to note about the previous major was that both teams that made it out of the wildcard stage did quite well. So Vici Gaming got 7th, 8th, and PSG LGD got 3rd. So it clearly shows that the China region has the most depth out of any region, that the 3rd, 4th team were able to compete at such a high level in comparison to what happened to Liquid, who dropped out in the 9th or 12th slot, but also made it through the wild card, and also Team Nigma, who from EU didn't even make it through the group stage or the wild card stage in the first major. So for this major, I do believe that the 3rd place is going to go to Team Nigma. I don't want to be boring, but I do believe that China is by far the most deep region in terms of the 3rd, 4th place teams, and I also believe that because I talked about Secret, why I think they're going to fall short. I also think Nigma is going to fall slightly short again. I do believe in this roster a lot more than they did at the previous major. They did play with a stand-in for the first major. But the biggest part about this is that ILTW, I think he's somewhat of a weak link at the current moment. When you watch Tier 1 Dota, or at least Tier 1 EU Dota, which I was forced to watch, not forced to watch, I enjoyed it, but I had to watch all the games for the second season of DPC. You can kind of just see that he looks out of place amongst like an OG Team Nigma game. Like it just doesn't look like he's on the same wavelength as these Tier 1 players, and it's just because of experience. I do believe he can go a long way between now and TI, and I think they could have a very good shot at making it to TI through the qualifiers in Europe. But I do believe that he has, like, I don't believe this. I've seen him have 1 or 2 costly deaths every single game. And that's something where if you're a carry in a major, it's just not going to fly. His hero pool is a little bit wonky. I think they're still figuring stuff out. They rotated Miracle to mid, and Miracle's playing a lot of late game scaling mids on average. And then he's playing like carries like Ember Spirit. His really only traditional carry that I saw was Juggernaut. And he was managing to die in games on a hero like Jug, super survivable, that I just think has no business dying. So I really do think he's going to weigh them down, and it's going to leave them with a lack of consistency that's necessary to get out of a group stage against the likes of VG and IG that I do believe are just very methodical. The Chinese region is like, that's why IG was able to win the first major. If you guys didn't see my video on them, the way they execute the map and everything, you just can't lose control of the farming area on the map to teams like this, and I don't think they're going to quite cut it because of some costly deaths from ILTW. So that leaves the 2 teams that I do believe are going to qualify. I believe Vici Gaming as well as IG will make it through the wild card stage. I have a couple notes on them. Vici went 5-2 in the China region, and they lost a tiebreaker 2-1 to LGD, who took 2nd place to make it to the group stage already. They had a pretty impressive resume. They lost all of their series 2-1. Both their losses were to IG, who's right next to us here in the wild card, and Aster, who looked incredibly dominant and overall won the China region. And all of their losses, including the tiebreaker, were 2-1s. So VG put on a real show. They've got Old 11, who's a signature Broodmother player. It looks like their number 1 go-to first rounds are first-rounding Brood. They won every single game that I saw with it, and it's becoming a permaban against them. Nobody allows them to have it anymore. And they also go lean heavily, very heavily on the Nyx Assassin. So if you guys are interested in those 2 heroes at all, you can maybe see them in the Vici Gaming series, but I honestly highly doubt the Broodmother will go through it all. And then we got IG, who they did go 4-3. During the DPC season. They lost to Aster, PSG LGD, and Elevant. So Aster and LGD are the first 2 place teams coming out of the groups, or coming out of the DPC season. And they also lost to Elephant, which you may have never heard of this team, but it's basically the former LGD that got top 2 in TI. It has Eurus, Somnus, as well as FY on that roster. So even though Elephant didn't make it, it almost shows you how hard it was to get out of the China region and make it to this major, purely due to the fact that a team that has Eurus, Somnus, and FY on it is not in the top 4. So I put a heavy emphasis on how strong China is. It showed in the first major. I think a lot of things about the first major, we can't just look as canon. You know, they're not just the gospel. They're not going to tell us everything we need to know about this major. But I do believe China was a convincingly consistent region, and I see no reason why they're not going to do so here, just based on the fact that all 4 of their teams did relatively well on the previous major. And I do believe they will oust these teams because they just aren't lacking what I think it takes to consistently get top 2 amongst a group stage of 6 teams. Remember, there's no playoff of this wild card. They're all going to play each other, and based on their record after playing each other in a round robin, that's going to be it. So just in case, there's really no way to find this in the Dota 2 tab. Excuse me, Aoi. I went through all this stuff to find it. You have to go to the Dota 2 Pro Circuit, scroll all the way down to find the We Play Kiev Major. You go here, since it's only going to show you the previous games, which you can use this if you want to see previous games that have already happened. But if you want to see upcoming games, you go to their site, and I'm not saying their site's bad or anything. We're going to see this really good looking guy that's going to be working for the event and some other losers. But yeah, it's just not exactly a clean-cut way to see what's going on. So if you guys want to make sure you follow all the action for the DPC, as well as make sure you watch the teams that you really care about, Wikipedia is the way to go. I just Google searched Wikipedia We Play Kiev Major, and it gave me this, the whole thing you're seeing here, and it gives you the schedule. These games are in order of what they're happening. So there's 2 streams, as I mentioned at the start. It's going to be A and B stream, so June 2nd and June 3rd. And the games, I believe, are a rolling schedule, but there's a chance maybe that they wouldn't be, just because Execration would be late for the series if this series started really early and this went really long, for instance, and they're on separate streams. But yeah, so make sure you guys check that out. Hope you enjoyed my predictions, and keep yourselves posted for more stuff that I'll be doing about the major. If you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that shenanigans, because at the end of the day, YouTube does care about that. You may not care about it, I may not care about it, but the YouTube algorithm does. So please do.